Welcome back everyone, once again to another SnowRunner video. Today we're going to continue the truck request series here, and this is from your doing. Here's the comment and here are the upvotes showing that you guys really wanted to see the P16 and not another low saddle vehicle. So you guys have escaped that today. So P16 it is. This is not a review, guys. I just want to kind of come out here and say that I've been getting a lot of comments of people asking me to review other trucks. And I just want to say to those folks, the reviews are on the channel. Please go look for them. There's a review on this one where it's actually a scripted pros and cons, well-tested reviews. I spend a lot of time on them. So if you'd like to see additional information on these and how I feel about those as well from a review standpoint, those are all on there. They might be old, but pretty much my comments and my thoughts on them are pretty much staying the same. So really good information there. This series essentially is a response to a lot of requests for me to break down how I would use these vehicles from a garage view, and then also just talk about them, how I feel about them, I guess. So in a sense, I thought to myself, maybe this will be a good series for, you know, people to get involved and basically just tell me what they want to see from the base game so far. And it's been great. So thank you so much. So please go into the comments right now. Leave a comment on the next base game vehicle that you'd like to see next, and the most upvoted comment will be the one we do next. So thank you all as well. I appreciate it so much. Concerning the P16, this vehicle, I believe, drives a lot of polarity in the community. It's kind of one of those vehicles like the Western Star Twin Steer, where it is, a lot of people just straight up say it's terrible, and a lot of people say it's straight up amazing. I think I tried to see the realistic point of view, and I think sometimes people think a realistic point of view is a pessimistic point of view, but I also have a lot of optimism, but I also have a lot of realism, and I think people conflate realism with pessimism a little bit too much. It's kind of like when I said that the 6900 Twin Steer is a very skill-based vehicle. I think the most skill-based vehicle in the game. That comment got a lot of people upset, which it's okay, I'm just telling the truth. But the P16 is one that is loved by many, but is also hated by a lot of people too as well. I think I fall definitely in the middle somewhere. And I do have a lot of reverence for it because it's an old vehicle. It's from the base game. It is a real licensed vehicle that has done some crazy things. If you go watch YouTube videos, please go. It's wild. So I think it's a beautiful looking truck. It's very unique with the offset sitting cab for the driver to be able to actually see the ground in front of them instead of looking down the long hood. So it's really nice, to be quite honest. But concerning the P16, the engine sets are not very good, to be quite honest. 210,000 torque. It's a pretty heavy vehicle. It's not the heaviest in its class, but it shares this engine with its brother, the P12, also the P512, the ANKs, and I want to say a couple more, but they're kind of eluding me right now off the top of my head. So gearboxes, I would say use a special or advanced special. I made a video on gearboxes. If you'd like to know more about gearboxes and comparing them, I would say the advanced special or the special are going to be good picks for this. I personally want this advanced because it gives you a little bit more speed. And I think speed is better with transitioning to different surfaces or changing surfaces, especially with a RWD truck. Sometimes when you don't have a front axle clawing away to help you kind of transition, speed helps get you there because your main driving force is your back two axles. And that's kind of the gimmick with it. The P12 is its back axles and its tires are its gimmick. No race suspension here. 57-inch OHD tires that are specially coated, especially great for mud performance. And basically, that's what it is. In a place where there's heavy mud, and also I would say low to maybe low moderate slopes, it will do pretty well. But overall, like rock crawling and stuff like that, I would say it's probably not going to do a good job. And I'll kind of talk about that a little bit later in the driving portion as well. But you could downgrade these tires if you'd like to. I would say probably not. If you're deploying this in like rocky conditions where you're climbing up mountains on rocks and stuff like that, I think you're just not understanding where you should deploy this vehicle, to be quite honest, because that's not really a smart move. I would say deploy this vehicle in a place so you know you can actually get away with using it. And if you can, it feels great. But when you deploy it in a place where you know it's just going to struggle and just be a terrible experience, that's where I think the polarity comes in and people are like, this is a garbage vehicle. Well, it's like, you threw it at a rocky outcropping. Like, you threw it at, you know, mountain crawling. It's not going to do that. It's a big hulking, rigid piece of metal that essentially is just for running through mud with, you know, with what it can load. Winches are just heavy. Snorkel has the wedge cap. I think it looks okay. I probably would love to see a different type of cap that maybe comes up as cab, I guess, but this one looks all right. It kind of matches this exhaust as well, so I kind of think it looks all right just with this. But overall, the aesthetics of this are absolutely wonderful. I have to mention the horn. The horn in this truck is the best sounding horn in the game. Fight me. I'm just joking. It's a great horn. Wonderful sounding. There's a lot of good horns in the game, but this one really gives that boom. So very train-ish. Concerning add-ons, it has two. It has its custom P16 pole trailer front, which is for long logs. And it also just recently got a custom trailer for long logs as well, which have the same tires. And then it's also color matching as well. Really cool. I think that's been great. Other than that, there has been no changes on the Pacific trucks or the Cat trucks as of late. I'm still kind of waiting for that. And if I would say anything about ways I would change this vehicle, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me, I'm going to say give it the same weight as the Futon tires, I guess. Or the tractor tires, which are like 600 kilos in the front, and then the doubles in the back are 1,200 kilos. And I think that will solve the power issue with pulling. If you watch the Power of Heavy Tires video that I showed, the difference on the bore with a 100 kilo tire and a 200 kilo tire are like night and day. So these tires here are actually not coated as like a super heavy. They're just a heavy set tire. So I believe if they're coated at a higher weight, I don't know how that could be implemented. I guarantee you it would probably pull better. Or they could just throw more torque at it. That's another move. I would actually, but knowing about the Dairy Special having 200 kilogram tires with, I think, 280,000 torque and getting outpulled by something like a Plaid with 35K less with heavy tires, I think I'd probably be more inclined to say increase his tire weight and see what's up with it then, and then go from there. But that's like my little spiel. I will move on from that. Other than that, it has high saddle. I believe this is still one of the highest sitting saddles in the game today, essentially. I think it's like top 5 or top 7, I believe. It's still pretty high, not gonna lie. Pretty rigid when you sit weight down on it as well. So suspension's pretty good. I think even though it has a high sitting saddle, in a lot of areas where there's a lot of weight pulling behind you, having a very high sitting saddle almost means nothing when you can't actually pull the weight. So that's kind of like my feelings with saddle height compared to just raw pulling power. I think you have to have a balance there. And when one's out of balance or one's like crazy bad, yeah, it kind of gets annoying. But I think that's pretty much all I'm going to say here. I'm going to give you guys my raw thoughts on the Pacific P16 here in the driving portion. So let's get started. So concerning the P16 and how I feel about it, well, I can tell you this. In my own mind, I have polarizing thoughts on it as well, just like the community does. I have two very separate opinions on the P16 and just the general nature of playstyle. And they are pretty much as follows. On one hand, I'm a super big optimist in the way that I believe that you can use it and have fun and bring the effectiveness up a notch to do some very impressive hauls for what it is. And then on the other hand, the realist part of me has to just call it like it is. And this might sound like a pessimistic point of view, but if I'm being straight up honest with you, the P16 is going to suffer a lot in a lot of places where all-wheel drive trucks with no specially coated tires will thrive in the same class. For instance, if I'm just comparing two similar type trucks from the same maker, the P16 and P12, I'm going to take the P12 pretty much 99% of the time. if you were to blindfold me and say, you're going to haul this special mission trailer with either this truck, P16 or P12, you don't know which map you're going to, you don't know what trailer it is, pick your truck. I'm going to say P12 all day, because I know the P12 is going to have issues, but I also know that all-wheel drive is much more advantageous than a gimmick tire with an RWD. So, and also with the P12, I can downgrade my tire codes, have more slip, so the power to weight issue is less as well. Now, don't get me wrong here, I like a good challenge like the next folk, and to be quite honest here with you, I've been called a masochist a good many a times on stream, but I actually operate on a pretty well balanced hardship to fun ratio. Enough difficulty to make me feel the game, but enough success to spur me on. Using trucks with RWD in the game in a lot of areas is hardship. I think everyone knows that, from breaking ice to changing terrain, rocks, all those things. Mountain climbing in a rear-wheel drive truck is a feat that is not easy. It can grief you. And I respect the try-hard state of mind, but honestly, the time it takes to get through that hardship can be too long, and nowadays I'm just not one to grief myself to boast about it later. So Saber did mention buffing the Pacific trucks, and my proposal for the P16 would be to increase its tire weights to 600 kilos per tire. I think that would absolutely increase its pulling potential, and then maybe on top of that give it a tiny bit of pulling bump as in torque, and then right there with an RWD truck with specially coated tires, you give it great pulling potential for a truck that's just meant to pull. Now, it's okay that it can't do everything like every other truck in the game, but just make it good at pulling weight. That's really what the P16 is in real life. It's just good at pulling raw weight in areas that it can do it. And that's how I would kind of keep it, but just make it do that job even better. And that's actually the formula of which I like for the heavy class, is that they shouldn't have a lot of versatility. They should be able to do heavy jobs or the special mission trailers or things like that very, very well. I think whenever you add all these new really large trucks with all these crazy different add-ons, they basically just power creep every other class that's below it, like the off-road and the heavy duty. So in this way, I think that the P12 buffs would be rather great, and I hope that they continue to make trucks that are specialized, if they are going to be in the heavy class, to be good at one thing, but not power creeping all the other worker bees like the off-road class and also the heavy duty class. I think with my proposed changes, you keep the gimmick of the P16 alive with those crazy good coated tires. You just basically buff their weights, buff its pulling potential, and let the truck just be what it is. It's not going to overtake another truck from another class and take over its job. It's just going to increase what it's supposed to do better. And that's where I think the P16 should be in its own niche. It's just pulling, high saddle, and logs really, really good. So that is all I have for you guys today. Please leave a comment in the comment section on what truck you want to see next on the truck request series, and the most upvoted comment will be the next one we feature. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video and potentially learned a few things along the way as well. So until next time, y'all, God bless and stay upright.